Hey there, I'm Erica, and normally I would do a Facebook Live, but we're going to call this post a hashtag vulnerability post. Um, it's really taken me a lot to get on here and record myself talking about what I'm about to talk about. So bear with me. I've just been feeling this urgency, this call that I need to express my feelings regarding certain things in the world right now. This is not going to be a political post, I promise you that. But I would like to share a little story of my own personal experiences to maybe shed a little light on what is happening in our world today. So, like I said, I'm Erica. I am 28 years old. I have been married to my amazing husband, Chris, for 8 years now. We have 3 beautiful children, and I love my life. I can honestly say that I am happy where I am at, and I'm very grateful for all the lessons that I've learned up until this point. I can't say it's always been that easy. A lot of trauma, a lot of abuse is sprinkled throughout my childhood, and physical abuse, sexual abuse. It's I'm not going to paint it as a pretty picture. It's not sunshines and rainbows. There was a lot of secrets, a lot of shh, don't tell. And I got to a point in my healing journey that just didn't work for me. Okay? My grandfather died in 2001. Prior to that, when I was a child, I was abused by him once. One time that I can remember. And I always had this very confusing memory that just didn't make sense to me. It just didn't add up. I just didn't understand it. And fast forward to my early 20s. After I'd had a miscarriage, my first pregnancy ended in a miscarriage. And I began seeking out alternative healing modalities to try to make sense of this crazy life of mine. So I found yoga. I didn't even get into yoga for the spiritual piece, but like I always tell people, once you go down the rabbit hole, there's no turning back. Who knows what you're going to stumble upon? So I find yoga. I'm 240 pounds. I was just diagnosed with PCOS and insulin resistance, and as I mentioned, had a miscarriage. I was a mess. I just wanted to die. So I started going to yoga 3 days a week, and I kept a very regular, disciplined practice, and I figured there's got to be more. There's got to be more than all these prescription drugs and blah 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 that I've tried. So as I began healing, as I began peeling back the layers, I found that there was a little girl within me who still had so many unanswered questions. So I began asking. Can't hurt to ask, right? So I asked my father's mother about this memory that I had. And at first she denied it. And then, oh, well, maybe he was reaching for me. And then there was always just this, and then, oh, well, what if this? That just didn't work for me. So the more I began talking about it, the more other family members started coming out and just finally just letting it come to the surface so we can take a fresh breath and release this stuff. My grandmother didn't see it that way. She saw it as my grandfather had been dead for 5 years already, 10 years, whatever it was, and that I was shaming his name, and I was shaming the family's name, and I had no right to talk about him illy like that. What about me, I thought? What about what I had been through? I'm just supposed to keep this bottled up inside forever, for the rest of my life? I'm not allowed to speak of it and heal from it try to process it and make sense of these emotions. What about me? What about me? Hashtag me too. You know, it's really pissing me off that all these women, we're trying to come out. We're trying to talk about these things that have been suppressed in us for so long. And all you people on the sidelines, you got something to say. You have something negative to say when all we're trying to do is heal. Well, what about his family? What about his name? He shouldn't have done the shit in the first place. Karma's a bitch. This is how karma comes back around. And she will creep up on you. And if there is something that needs to be released, oh boy, have I learned through my energy healing that it's gonna come up. It's gonna come up, whether you like it or not. You can fight it, you can resist it. But if you are holding pain or trauma inside this vessel, this one place that we're given to live all this life, if you're holding something in, the energy is shifting just right. And it is just, it's blowing my mind every day because I've been practicing. I've just been practicing tuning in to my own energy, knowing what's mine, letting go of what's not mine. And I said this post was going to get a little vulnerable, and I meant it because I can't keep quiet any longer. My husband and I were just talking about this last night, and I honestly I don't watch the news. I get the watered down version from my husband later because I just can't handle the nonsense. I just can't even fathom. You know, everyone's like, well, what does she have to gain by coming out about this now? What does she have to gain? Well, she was terrified for all these years to speak up. And now she has this opportunity to prevent this sicko from making decisions in our country. I would speak up too. You know? So try to see things from another's perspective, because you never know what someone is going through. You never know what experiences someone has had to endure in their life. And you know, we're in the new age, the age of Aquarius, and it's time to free ourselves from all these past pains, all these past traumas. They're coming up one more time for a final judgment day, are we gonna take lessons from this and finally learn from it and move on? It's time. So for what it's worth, if you watched my video, thank you. And I hope that maybe this one perspective will help you, will give you one more perspective on how to view a situation, because you just never know. And you know, yes, there are people out there that are attention seeking, but like for me, in my story, I was a child. I didn't know better. And come to find out, in my adult years, my mother actually told me that I tried to tell her when I was a child. But everybody chalked it up to my vivid imagination. And that's another thing. You know, as I open up spiritually, as I embark on this amazing path of evolution and enlightenment, and I'm not totally there, I'm still learning new things every day. But the further down the rabbit hole I go, it's just so fucking amazing to see, to view my life not as linear, okay? So right here as I am, I'm healing that little girl. I'm sending that little girl healing through time and space. And then the experiences that I'm having now here in my present life, by doing that, by healing that past wound, it's incredible. I'm opening the possibility of abundance and manifestation by removing these blockages in my life. And that may have gone over some of y'all's heads, but if anybody has any questions and wants to talk about this, hit me up. I will not handle any negativity. I will block and delete, forewarned. But hey, if you've had an experience like this and you can resonate, let me know. Let's talk about it. Let's help you heal through it, because that's why we're here. We're here to come together as a collective, to work together, to heal. Too much pain, too much trauma, too much abuse has gone on through the years. And I don't know about everybody else, but I always say this, especially for my own kids, my family, it ends here. The bullshit ends here. I refuse to let any more of this baggage bleed through my ancestral lines. It ends here. So I hope you all have a beautiful day. And remember, don't judge a book by its cover. You never know the hardships that people don't speak of. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Sending you lots of love. Namaste.